It doesn't have to be perfect. We just need it to be somewhat smooth for when we pour our ganache over it, because every little lump is going to show. But the sides we're not going to be too concerned about, because we're going to be putting our shards of chocolate transfer over it. So it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but you know, we want it to look good. So there we go. We've got it pretty good, straight up and down all the way around. And now I'm going to take my spatula and just kind of come off the top a little bit. So I've got it a little bit even on the top. Sometimes when you want to see if it's even, you have to get level with it. So you can spin it around, and if you get level with it, you're going to have a better eye to see if it's even. If you want to get really anal about it, you could put a piece of wax paper on the top and put a level on the top of it and make sure it's level. I'm not going to be too concerned about this one because I'm not stacking it, and it's going to have a lot going on. So even if it's not quite perfectly level, you won't see. If I were stacking it, I would definitely make sure it was perfectly level, and I'd use a level to check that, because you don't want it to, especially if you're stacking multiple tiers, if they're not level, they'll start to go off to the side. So you want to make sure with every tier you're level. But since this one's not stacking, it's an individual, I think this is pretty good. All right, so I've got that straight, and now I'm going to go and straighten my sides a little bit. And now it's time to pour our ganache. So we'll get set up for that, and I'll show you how to pour your ganache on. All right, so I'm ready to pour my ganache. So I've taken my cake off of the turntable and put it on a rack on a sheet pan filled with foil, because I want to catch the ganache that's going to pour off. So, and I don't want to have this on a board yet, because I want the ganache to drip all the way down the sides, and then we're going to lift it up and put it on a board. So I'm going to take my ganache, and the best way to do this is to start right from the center and just start pouring. And you can kind of then start going a little bit around, because you want to make sure it covers it all the way around. And that's why I've got my sheet pan on a turntable. So now that I've kind of filled the whole top, I'm just going to start really pouring it all the way around. And so now I can start seeing on my side. So I can see here, I want to make sure that the whole thing is covered. So I'm doing it in front of the camera for you, but if this were I was doing it at home, I would have it facing me so that I could make sure that every single area is covered. So I've got spaces here that see they're not covered. So I'm just going to keep pouring to make sure all of those are covered, because you want the whole cake to be nice and covered with chocolate. So here's a big section that didn't get covered. So I'm going to keep going all the way around like this. Make sure it's all nice and covered evenly. But that little section doesn't want to, there we go. So there we have it, and then you can stop because you've seen that it's all covered evenly. And now we're just going to let that sit and drip. Now sometimes you might see on the top, and really right now the top's all I'm concerned about, because we're going to be covering the sides with chocolate, our shards of chocolate, so I'm okay with those if they're not exactly perfect. But I see some little, there's a chunk of chocolate right here, so I'm going to grab that out. And again, this is because I did not stir my chocolate well. And I'm going to grab that one out and this one out, and it's leaving divots, and I don't want those divots. So I'm going to take my chocolate and I'm just going to pour a little more around the top, just so it kind of melts in and fills those divots. And I just saw a piece of chocolate fall in there, so I'm going to grab that out before it makes another piece. And now if you want to get it to be kind of even out, you can just kind of give it a little shake. And now my top is going to be really nice and smooth. Now my sides aren't exactly perfect, but like I said, I'm okay with that because we're going to be covering it with shards. So there you have it. It's nice and smooth. Now I want this to set a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this whole tray in the fridge. I'm not going to try to take it off right now. I'm going to put the whole tray like this in the fridge so the chocolate can set nicely. and have a nice shine to it, because when it dries, you want it to have a nice shine to it. So always when you have chocolate that you're trying to give a shine to, it always helps to either freeze it or put it in the refrigerator, because that gives the chocolate a nice crisp shine, crisp look and a shine. So let me put that in the fridge, and then we'll go back and start on our template.